Today I'm going to give you my 2023 lumber prediction and the reasons on why I feel the way I do. Well, 2022 certainly was a crazy year for lumber prices, as was 2021. So the big question is, what's in store for us in 2023? Here's some of the things that I think are going on right now in the marketplace. First of all, if you look at futures was the worst performing commodity of everything in 2022. And if you look at the long-term 5-year growth plan for lumber futures, you can see that they pretty well are in line with what's been going on over a period of time. I do believe that lumber futures will go down more. I think they may get down into the 350 level, which will help drive lumber prices down potentially. The second thing is I'm going to look at interest rates on mortgages. Right now they're at 6.7% versus last year at 3.1%. So it's going to be more difficult for consumers to pony up the money if they want to buy a new house this year. The third thing is inflation, and inflation is going to affect us in a lot of different ways. It's going to definitely cut into people's ability to purchase new housing. But we have to watch it on the other end too, because inflation is going to affect the prices of things like windows and doors possibly too. So we will be taking a look at what's going on with those products throughout the year also. The next thing that happened that's kind of interesting is that housing starts increased in October and November, but there's still 15.3% lower than they were a year ago. I think October and November were an anomaly, and I think that we will see some decreased starts in houses compared to a year ago. The next thing is wages are stagnant. Now, I know we hear a lot about wages going up, and I'm sure in some white-collar industries, people are receiving wages, probably not keeping up with inflation. But I'm not seeing a lot of wage increases in blue-collar type work. If you've got a blue-collar job and you're getting a wage increase, leave it in the comments down below. I'd definitely like to hear that. The next thing is looking at fuel. Fuel prices are declining, which will give people some more disposable income, and it will also help the transportation cost of getting lumber from the mill to where it's going to be used and sold. In that same vein, the railroad strike has been settled, and even though it's going to drive the labor costs up quite a bit, at least we know that we're going to have a sustained way of getting lumber from the mills to point of use. And the next thing is that building products sales at places like Home Depot and Menards and Lowe's makes up in excess of 30% of their annual sales. Now, because they're going to have to report to their stockholders sales increases and decreases, they're probably going to be willing to accept a decrease in profitability on lumber prices in order to be able to sustain their sales numbers. So look for competition to grow in the retail prices as retailers battle it out with each other to keep their market share. Now, there are some cons to lumber prices for this year. First of all, certainly lumber companies have shareholders that they have to answer to also. So we can expect that they'll take some of their less profitable mills and shutter them, at least for the time being, because they're not going to need to produce as much lumber, and that's going to prevent prices possibly from coming down as much as we would like. Also, we have to take a look at independent lumber yards. A lot of them still have higher priced lumber that they bought, and because 90 to 100% of their business is sale of lumber, they're going to have to work off that existing higher priced inventory until they can begin to decrease their prices significantly. So all in all, things look like they could be very positive for lumber. Many people speculate that the housing market will begin to recover in 2024. And while interest rates long-term are expected that they'll decline, at this point in time, the Fed is still increasing interest rates, this time by a half point. But keep in mind this, when the Fed raises rates, they do it in large amounts. But when they lower interest rates, they do it in very small incremental amounts. So you can look for mortgage rates to remain well above where they were a few years ago for quite some time to come. So if you're going to buy lumber, or you're looking to buy lumber, Your ship may have come in 2023, and if you're a cash buyer, it's going to bode even better for you because you won't have to deal with any type of high-priced credit cards that you might be using. So look for 2023 to be the year where you want to make your lumber purchase. The best way to know exactly when is to tune into the Lumber Report every Wednesday afternoon. We'll see you next Wednesday.